everybody, I'm Travis, your Blizzard Basement Hero, and welcome to the first product review video of 2018. In this video, you're joining me as I take my first look at Blizzard's Hypno-beam and Hypno-spot moving head fixtures. So like I said, you're joining me as I take my first look at the Hypno-spot and Hypno-beam. Now I have to tell you, when these were shipped to me, they came in brown cardboard boxes, nothing special. And when I pulled these out of the boxes, I was really excited to do this video just by the look of these boxes. They're so cool, the colors are neat, the graphics are pretty sweet, and I know it sounds kind of lame, but these boxes really got me excited for this video. Also, if you've seen the video that Blizzard put together on the Hypno-spot and Hypno-beam, you'll notice the LED rings on the front of the fixture. They call these the hypnotic rings. And I'm really excited to take these out and see what we're able to do with those LED rings on the front. So all right, let's get started by opening these up. So here they are. And by the way, welcome to my living room. If you'd like to join me with a beverage as we look at both the Hypno-spot and Hypno-beam, I think now would be a great time to hit pause on this video, go grab yourself a beverage, and I'll be here when you get back. So let's first talk about what comes with the fixtures. You saw me pull out a bunch of stuff from both boxes. So let's talk about that. They both come with the product manual, and in here you're gonna find how to set these up, how to mount these, install these. It goes through all of the features. It talks about how to use the built-in control panel and goes through the menu structure. So using just that control panel on the front of these, and they're both identical for the most part, you can first select your DMX footprint. So the beam here can use either 14 or 23 DMX channels. The spot is 12 or 23. So you can select that. You can also select scene mode 1, 2, or 3. So I'm gonna guess right now that you can maybe set these up manually and then store them as scenes. You can put these in master mode or slave mode. So you can set one up as the master and then connect it using DMX cable to some other ones that are slaves. So you can set that up in here. You can put it in sound active mode or auto mode, and then of course using the menu adjust the sound sensitivity or the sensitivity of the microphone. You can adjust your pan and tilt angles. You can set your pan and tilt reverse. It also has pan and tilt fine adjustments. And again, this is all available right on the LCD menu there on the front of the fixture. And then you can take a look at the operating time, reverse the display if you are mounting these inverted, so you can flip the display around and still see what you're doing there on the menu, and reset the fixture. And then also in here it goes through the DMX values in depth. So whether you're using 23 channel modes on both of these or the 14 or 12 channel, it goes through each of those DMX values and tells you everything you need to know to control these with DMX. The orange piece of paper that was included in both of these has details on the 2-year product warranty, so that's pretty sweet. You saw that they both also came with, or come with, this bracket. Now this bracket uses these very simple, easy to use Omega locks or Omega clamps. This would attach to the bottom of this base on the fixtures, and then has a mounting hole here, which we can use to mount the fixture or put a bracket or C-clamp onto here and then mount this to some truss. Conveniently, they both also come with a 3-pin DMX cable. It might not be terribly long, but these short cables come in handy, let me tell you. So they came with one of those as well as their power cord. Now this is the twist lock or powerCON compatible power cable, which is used by a lot of professional fixtures. So that's the power cable there. And then of course the fixture itself. Now over on this side we've got the beam fixture, and this is the spot. So you can see on the beam fixture here, since it has a wider lens on there, which has a wider beam angle as well. This one is an 8-degree beam angle and then has these 2 LED rings. Taking a look at the spot, it's got a smaller lens and a smaller beam angle of 4.7 degrees. And since this has a smaller lens, it has room to fit a third LED ring. The back side of these fixtures are pretty much identical. So up here on the back of the fixture head, it looks like there's a fan in the middle, and then has, this is almost, I think, like a metal heat sink that surrounds the fan that's in the center there. And on the bottom we see our 3-pin DMX in and out, and our powerCON compatible power in and power out. I find the power output, or that courtesy outlet, to be always so convenient when you're connecting multiple fixtures together. So glad to see that on the back. All right, we've taken a look at everything that comes in the box. We looked at the front and back of the fixtures. It's time to plug these babies in, hook them up. I'm gonna go grab my laptop with Blizzard's Lucid DMX interface, and we're gonna check out what these can do. So I've got both fixtures wired up and connected here with power and DMX, and I've got my laptop here running Lucid. You can see the Lucid dongle right there. Got the DMX coming out of the dongle up into the Hypno-spot, which is on the right, and then into the Hypno-beam, which is on the left. All right, so first let's talk about pan and tilt, since that is the same on both fixtures. They both have 540 or 630 degree pan and 200 degree tilt with an 8 to 16 bit resolution. So here I'll start to move these, and right now I've got it on the 16 bit resolution, so I'm able to get really fine pan and tilt, nice and smooth. It is pretty quick as well. Let me move this over to 8 bit, and you'll see them move a little bit quicker there as they jump from different positions, and then we'll end up with both of them back in front of us here. There we go. So that's pan and tilt. Again, it's the same for both the beam and the spot. Now let's take a moment to focus on the spot fixture, which is on the right. Let's talk about its main light source in the middle. So let me turn the dimmer on. That is a single LED that's in the center. It's a 30-watt white LED. So in order to get different colors on this, we use a color wheel. The color wheel on this has 9 colors plus open. So it's got red, green, blue, yellow, orange, purple, bright green, pink, and a light blue. And what I'm going to do is actually tilt this up. I know it's a little light in here yet. I was hoping to get it a little bit darker, but hopefully you can still see the light. I'm going to tilt this up onto the white ceiling. That way you can maybe see that a little bit better. Okay. So there it is there. Again, remember this is 4.7 degree beam angle, so it is pretty tight. It's a very small, tight beam. I'll run through those colors just quickly again here for you. It's kind of hard to see on the camera because it's pretty bright. So that's red, green, blue, yellow, orange, purple, bright green, pink, and light blue. I'm going to go back to the regular blue and then also go through the gobo wheel. So the gobo wheel has open, of course, and then 9 different gobos. So here's gobo 1, gobo 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then it also has a gobo shake feature. So it'll go through each one of those 9 gobos and do this shake effect. And then I'll go back to open here. It also has a variable strobe. So I'll turn the strobe on here. This goes from 1 to 25 hertz. So here's your 1 hertz. I'll go back to white. And then I'll start to increase the strobe frequency. So get a little faster, a little faster. And there's the fastest on the strobe. And we can go back to just open. So those are, I think, the main features of the main LED light source on the spot fixture. Let's bring that tilt back down here in front of us so that we can take a look at those LED rings. Bring this down here. All right, and just so we can see the rings a little bit better, I'm going to turn off the main light in the middle, the 30-watt LED. So for the LED rings, those have a separate dimmer function. So I'm going to turn that on. It also has its own speed function, and we'll get to that in just a minute. And the ring also has its own strobe. We'll get to that in a second as well. So if you're using DMX, you have built-in color macros for the rings, which makes it really easy to start to use these rings right out of the box, which is really nice. We do also have manual control over each of those rings. I'm going through the color macros right now. So you saw red, now green, blue. These are RGB LEDs that are in those rings. There's yellow, purple, white, or RGB all on. And then we start to see a fade effect here where it's kind of fading through the different colors. Again, on the spot, there's the 3 rings we can see. And there are 76 in total of the RGB LEDs behind there. So we've got sort of this fade effect, which is pretty cool. Again, I can control the speed of the rings separately. Let's see if I can increase the speed of the fade here. Yeah, it's going a bit faster there. I'm going to bring the speed back down for a minute. All right, continuing on with the ring macros. Here is a red chase. And again, I can control the speed, so we'll increase the speed a little bit here. It's got this same macro then for green and blue. And yellow. And purple. And light blue. So it looks like they sort of matched these color macros with the color wheel. And then white, which is RGB all on. Then here's sort of a zoom effect in red, green, blue. This is red, green, and blue. This is red, zoom in and out. Same with green. Same with blue. And with white. That's going to be really neat with using the strobe on the light in the center. That's pretty cool. And here's a zoom in out with red, green, and blue on the rings. And then this is just pretty neat. Let me slow this down for you here so you can see. Yeah, it is pretty bright. It's kind of hard to even see those colors. But that is pretty neat. That's definitely going to add some excitement to these moving heads. And there's one more macro here. So it's kind of got this red, green, and blue sort of chase around the rings. And that's at a pretty slow speed, but I can speed this up as well. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, you know, and then of course with all of these macros, we can then be doing stuff with the main 30-watt LED that's in the center as well, with the different colors on the color wheel and the gobos too. So that's pretty neat. All right, let's take a look at the beam now. Very similar as far as the feature set goes. Let's start with the beam, or the main light source in the center. Now this light, rather than being just a white LED, since it is a beam, we want to have some color mixing. So this is an RGBW LED, and this is a 60-watt LED. So here is all RGB on. Now this is, again, kind of hard to tell with the colors here. There's green, so you can see I'm changing the colors here, mixing R, G, and B, red, green, and blue. And then I can turn those off, and I have a separate control here for just that white. So I was doing RGB mixing before, and now here's that white LED. I'm going to do the same thing and tilt this up onto the ceiling so that we can see maybe those colors a bit more, and you can see that it is a wider beam angle. Let me zoom back out here. So this is so we were looking at the spot before. So you can tell already that this is a wider beam angle. This is 8 degrees. I'll go through again and mix those colors again. So that's the white. I'm going to turn the white LED off and mix with RGB. So here's your red, and then I'm mixing into some blue. So we got purple into blue, moving around into green, yellow, and back to red. So since this is a beam fixture, that is really the main function, is to get color mixing on the wider beam angle. I am going to bring this back down in front of us so we can check out the LED rings on the front. So the rings on the front of this one act very similarly to the spot. They have their own ring dimmer, so I'll turn that on, and they have their own built-in macros as well. Now let me see if I can turn that main light off. There we go. All right, so this one has just 2 rings instead of 3 like on the spot, but again, the macros are the same. So we see red, green, blue. So since there is one less ring, it does have 60 RGB LEDs instead of 76 like on the spot. So going through the colors, these are, again, all same color macros like we saw on the spot. And then here's the one where it's fading through different colors. Again, we can control the speed on these macros for the rings as well. So here's our red chase. We can increase the speed of that. Yeah, that's really neat. Then we've got a green chase and blue. Same chase in yellow, purple, light blue, white. Here's sort of the zoom effect like we saw in the other one with red, green, blue, yellow, purple, light blue, white. So again, then imagine we've got, remember, that 60-watt light source in the middle that we can use in combination with all these macros with the rings. This one, again, really cool, just like the other one, using different colors. I'm going to slow this down here so we can see more of what's going on. Okay, here's another one. Using some different colors. And then finally, this is the last macro for the rings, which uses red and green and does sort of this circular chase. So that's cool. So then, like I mentioned before, we can also, rather than using the ring macros, you have individual control of each ring. So I have been using these in 23 channel mode, and then I can have access to each ring individually. So here's the inner ring. I've just turned on all LEDs, red, green, and blue at full. And then, of course, I can use my RGB color wheel here to mix whichever color for the inner ring. And then I can do the same for the outer ring. So you can see I've got the inner ring at like a blue and the outer ring at a white. Oh, it's hard to see on the camera. There's red and blue. Yeah, it's hard to see on there just because it's so bright. But you get the idea, at least, with the effect. I mean, it's pretty eye-catching to have these LED rings. Let's get both of these in view here. You can see. Same with on the spot. Again, we can turn off the color macro and control each ring individually. So there's like, oh, yeah, that's tough to see, but it's white, blue, and then white. And then the rings also have strobe as well. Then we can do a strobe on the ring. This is variable strobe too. So here it's, slower, faster. And we can get those rings to strobe too. And the same on the beam fixture as well. I can do a strobe on the rings. All right, so that is a look at both of these fixtures, the Hypno-spot and Hypno-beam. So I think I've gone through all of the individual features on both moving heads here. Again, they also have built-in auto programs and sound active programs with the built-in mic. I'm gonna try to record a couple of scenes here quick and then show you those. Hypno-spot moving head fixtures by Blizzard Lighting. So this is kind of wrapping things up, final thoughts. We'll start with the Hypno-spot. Really great fixture, love its compact size. Let's talk about the LED for a minute. The 30-watt white LED reminds me a little bit of the Lil G, which has a 40-watt white LED. So this uses, a color wheel and gobo wheel to get your spot effects and to change the look of your spot. A couple of features that I would like to see in a spot fixture would be a rotating color wheel and a rotating gobo wheel. And I didn't find those to be part of the DMX profile. So having those would probably, make this a little bit more useful. Also, the spot on here is a very tight beam, so it produces, pretty small light. So you'd really have to have, use for that. For me personally, it's a little bit too small of a beam angle for me to really make the most use out of. But I could really see this useful in like a dance club or nightclub where, a nice tight beam, cutting through the crowd is really cool. Of course, the beams on the front, the rings, the 3 LED rings, make this fixture stand out from anything, that I've seen recently. So, and the other thing that's really nice about this is it has the macros built in so that right out of the box, you can start to do some really awesome things with those LED rings. And then also you can have some maximum control. Using DMX, you can, adjust the RGB LEDs in each of the 3 rings separately, so you can really customize and make your own cool looks with those awesome rings that are on the front. So moving over to the Hypno-beam, again, we see the same really cool LED rings on the front. And being a beam fixture, it's a little bit more of a wider beam angle. I can find this one for me personally to be a little bit more useful, just because there's more you can do with the wider beam angle and to really utilize that beam fixture. So that kind of wraps things up on the Hypno-beam and the Hypno-spot. Really cool eye candy fixtures that I don't think we've seen anything like this before, and having control over those LED rings is really going to make these fixtures stand out from the crowd. So also like that these are identical fixtures, at least they pretty much have the same footprint here and look like very similar housing. So if you do get a mixture of these 2 fixtures, that's going to look pretty sweet in your rig. So I hope this video has helped you as we took our look at the Hypno-beam and the Hypno-spot. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Travis, your Blizzard Basement hero. I look forward to bringing you more Blizzard review videos this year. Thanks again. See you next time.